November 5th, we get Dmitry Bivol versus Zurdo Ramirez. Good fight at 175 pounds. Now, this is an interesting one. Okay, from the perspective that I think Dmitry Bivol is the more accomplished fighter. Look, even before his fight with Canelo, but that's the fight that everybody knew him for or knows him for. But even before the fight with Canelo, I think he beat a higher level of competition at 175 pounds than Zurdo has. Point blank, plain and simple. But I think, could be wrong here, don't have access to the stats, not looking at like social media and all kinds of stuff. But I just think that Zurdo is a bigger name guy. He's a more popular guy. Even after the fight with Canelo, I would be willing to bet that Ramirez is still the guy who moves the needle between him and Bivol. But Bivol is the more accomplished fighter. Now look, I'm going to cut right to the chase. When I look at this fight, when I analyze it, when I break down the film, I see it. If I have to sum it up in one line, I would say that this is a fight between a complete fighter and a pretty good offensive fighter. Now look, let me break that down a little bit. When I say a complete fighter, I'm referring to Dmitry Bivol. We've seen Bivol do it all. Okay, we've seen him go in there against top-level competition, against guys that are his size, maybe a little bit stronger than him, punch harder than him, whatever it is, but we've seen him go forward. We've seen him come backwards. We've seen him be aggressive behind that jab, dude. He throws that jab a lot. Very high work rate behind it, and he throws it multiple ways. He can throw it out there where it's kind of like, I wouldn't call it a flicking jab, but it's maybe got like 50% power, 75% speed. And he'll throw it a lot. 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row. Not really looking to do any damage, not even necessarily trying to land it. Right? He's throwing it with accuracy, but he's not like really trying to hit, constantly keep his opponent off balance, mess his rhythm up, just kind of go in there and use it as a way to maintain control. We see it where he throws it like a sniper in the sense that he really lines it up. He really tries to get past the guard. He really tries to sneak it in those very small, tight spots, and he's able to do it. He's got very good accuracy. He's very crisp with it. He can throw it from a lot of different angles. He makes small little shifts to get in between the high guard. Look what he did against Canelo. Canelo's got a really tight high guard. Bivol was able to get that jab off. And then he's able to use it to control the distance. He's able to use it to control the pace. Very educated jab, throws it all the time. Very high work rate. We saw the way he handled it was only one round against Joe Smith that I'm really referencing this, right? But look at the first round of that fight. Dude, Joe Smith, I think this guy was underrated. Very strong, very hard punch, very aggressive. He came out there and he attempted to put it on Bivol. And the way that Bivol handled that first round against Joe Smith Jr., I think it said a lot, man. I get it. It's only one round. And, he ended up winning the fight anyways, right? So, hats off to Bivol. But the way that he handled that first round showed a lot. It showed that he has his skill level is deep, man. He can go to the bag. He's got a lot of tools available to him to be able to handle that, to be able to counter that aggression with those crisp right hands, to be able to not get flustered, to be able to not get hurt and caught. Really good, man. Then we saw a somewhat similar thing against Canelo, right? There was a very early on in that fight, we saw Bivol go out there and he was able to control the speed, the distance, the pacing, the rhythm of the fight and everything with that jab and the work rate. He was able to get behind it with the right, or slip that right hand in there. He's able to throw really good combinations. He's able to move almost in the middle of his combinations, kind of from where he begins it to where he ends it. And it's just these small little angles and these small little half steps and these circling movements, but it's just enough to be able to take a punch that would have bounced off somebody's glove, would have got blocked, and now it lands. And he's able to do it throwing like all straight punches, right? One of the things that you typically see, easiest combination in the book when you come to a gym, jab, right hand, left hook. Okay, great. But everybody becomes used to it, and when you step in behind hooks, naturally when it's a hooking movement, you got to be a little bit closer versus at long range. Bivol has this really good way of throwing combinations with all straight punches. But they're not all straight in the exact same way in the sense that you block one, you block them all. Again, he just switches them up kind of little bits here and there, works these angles. But we saw against Canelo in the beginning of the fight, he's coming out, he's working behind the jab, he's able to control things that way. And then we see when Canelo starts to try to turn on the power later, starts to try to close the distance, work behind those hard hooks to the body and those hard hooks upstairs. Bivol was able to stand his ground. He was able to take those shots, he was able to counter, dude. He's tough, he's durable, he's got fast hands, he's smooth, goes forward, backward, right? That's what I mean, he's a complete fighter. When people try to really close the distance on him and apply pressure, he doesn't just have to stand there and catch and counter. He can also back out. He's got really educated footwork. He can back out. He can circle out. He can move away. He knows how to lean back just a little bit. He's got this way about him where He's able to always be where he wants to be. He's always in position. He's always able to do things, but he never looks rushed, never looks like he's moving that fast. That's the sign of a guy who's very accomplished and very, very comfortable in the ring. Now, you look at a guy like Zurdo, what I mentioned was a pretty good offensive fighter. And I mean that. When you look at this guy and you watch him, particularly against lower level competition, because one of the knocks on him, what's he had, like 44, 45 fights or something? And I get it, he doesn't have the accomplished amateur background, so it's more of a learning on the job type thing. Comes in, racks off a whole bunch of professional fights that a lot of other guys would have gotten that experience in the amateur ranks, but he got it early in the professional ranks. That's cool. But my point is, we were able to see a lot of those things against lower level competition in the pros. And when you see him out there against this lower level competition, he looks like he's got it all together. Right? Very good form, very good timing, throws really good punches, loves to apply pressure, but at the same time, it's not overly aggressive. He keeps his men on the end of his punches. Sometimes he'll get a little bit closer, taking the mid-range, doesn't necessarily need to, because he's got good height and reach for the division. But he just comes in there and he does good work, man. Puts his combinations together almost effortlessly. We've seen really good body work, man. Right, we've seen him drop a couple guys a couple times with those left hands to the body. So overall, a really accomplished offensive fighter. Knows how to work behind the jab, knows how to slip that left hand in there, punch a combination, go up, go down. Everything you could imagine, good on the front foot. He can throw some counter shots in, but I wouldn't necessarily call him a very good fighter fighting on the back foot. He's got some good footwork. He can move around decently. I wouldn't call him light on his feet, but he does move around well, when he needs to. But he's not going to create a whole bunch of offense off of all that movement. He's not going to have like some really good super crisp countering off of it. This dude isn't, 175-pound version of Juan Manuel Marquez or something like that. He really wants to be on that front foot. He wants to be applying the pressure. He wants to cut off the ring and try to move forward. And ultimately, that's what's going to be the problem in this fight, is that he needs to control the pace. He needs to control the distance. He needs to control the rhythm of the fight. When he does, he looks great. But we also saw what happened against Jesse Hart. We also saw what happened against Gonzalez. When the opponent decides to come forward, he decides to apply pressure. He decides to say, look, man, I'm going to make this a little bit of a dogfight. I'm going to fight a little bit inside. I'm not going to let you control things and try to pick and choose my spots. I'm just going to put the pedal to the metal. I'm going to come forward. When that happens, when Zurdo has to fight off that back foot against an aggressive, skilled, powerful opponent, he can be taken off his game plan enough that he's going to lose the fight. And that's exactly what's going to happen with Bivol, man. Like, Bivol is able to, he's going to find Bivol hard to find. Zurdo's going to try to come forward with those punches. He's going to try to keep him at the end of his shots. He's going to try to work the jab and the left hand. He's going to find him hard to find, harder than any opponent he's had in the past. Bivol knows how to move backwards. He knows how to move his upper body. He knows how to have a high guard himself and pick some shots off. It's not going to go well offensively. It's not, or I should say this, it's not going to be easy offensively for Zurdo. Bivol's got a good defense, but the same thing is Bivol has a very good offense. He's going to be able to come forward when he wants. He's going to be able to catch and counter when he wants. He's going to be able to throw feints and try to throw the timing off from Zurdo. So ultimately, I think what's going to happen, the story of the fight is going to be Zurdo's going to look good in spots. He's going to be able to get some punches off. He's going to be able to look good at times. There's going to be some times where he's able to back Bivol up, maybe catch him against the ropes, land some good shots to the body. Ultimately, Bivol will be able to pick a lot of them off, but Zurdo will look good, right? But Bivol will look good far more often. Bivol will feel like he's in control of the fight for almost the entire fight. He'll never get caught with anything big. He'll look like he's able to get good, clean shots in. He's going to come forward, come backwards. He's going to throw feints to throw off the timing, make Zurdo a little bit unsure of what's next, unsure of where things are coming from. He's going to just find ways to get that jab off. Overall, I think it'll be a really good fight for him. If I had to pick a way that this fight ends, I would say it's Bivol by decision. Both of these guys are pretty tough. Neither one of them are known for having incredible one-punch power, right? They wear guys down more over time, but I don't think they'll be able to wear, either one will be able to wear the other man down enough to come out with a stoppage win. So it's going to be Bivol by decision. My guess would be, maybe 116, 112, 8 rounds to 4, something along those lines. So let me know what you guys think. Am I overestimating what Bivol brings to the table? Is this one of those situations where it's recency bias because he just came off the fight with Canelo and he looked so good? Is it like that? Is this a situation where Zurdo's constantly improving, so he's going to come out, he's going to look better? Is it a styles make fights? Zurdo's coming in and he just has a way to get that left hand off and it's going to give Bivol some trouble. Bivol is, anywhere from like a 4 to a 4.5 to 1 favorite, right? -400, -450, something along those lines. there may be a little bit of value in that line, right? There may be a little bit of value there. I'm not saying that there isn't. It's actually a pretty good line. I think the odds makers are looking at this one correctly. It's not that Zurdo has no chance to win, but he's a decided underdog, 100%, right? So let me know what you guys think. I'm interested in this one. I think it looks good for the division. I think it will shape some things up nicely, give us more clarity on who the number one man really is.